We tend to start conversations with an inquiry into someone's well-being. It goes like, how are you? Did I say it right? It's a good concept because before undertaking conversation, it's worth checking each participant's readiness, and we should care about the wellnesses of our acquaintances. If their wellness is lacking, we know to offer help or empathy if possible. Empathy. But in English, this has developed ages ago into a strange tick where we seem to be compelled to answer positively or at least neutrally. Maybe I notice it more because I am really rarely well. I have an untreatable chronic pain condition and I find life really tedious and torturous. I'm typically more unwell for the first few hours after waking, when it's more likely that people ask. And with this inquiry, I don't want to lie to people. When you spend all waking time pretending to be okay, how are you is like, shit, they're onto me. Honestly, negative responses tend to perplex. I interpret that the people asking were not ready for an honest response, which makes the question pointless and manipulative. Establishing the conversational tone as one that won't involve sincere communication. On a selfish level, if I manage to lie in response, as is often seemingly hoped, I'll feel guilty for lying for a few hours and thereby be even less well. Over the centuries, I've mostly learned to lie about this in at least customer service interactions, where the interaction is inconsequential and it's not really appropriate for that person to gather data on me. To answer that I'm not alright would bring up having to explain how come, because not being alright is considered an abnormal experience. I don't oppose explaining how come, but sometimes there's just no time. I guess I claim to be alright to minimize the invasion of the interaction. It's like self-fulfilling. I'll be more alright the less I have to interrogate it. Often we're trying to not notice how we're not alright. But when this is the outset of a larger interaction, to lead a conversation with a lie sets such a horrible precedent for the rest of it. The trust is squandered immediately. I value honest communication and it is so quickly slain. There are different mutations of this kind of stuff. Old people use, how do you do? I had a grandfather who said that. Yes, Britain is real. And it's such a philosophical question to lead with. Instinctively, I would respond with something about a combination of action and intent. That's how we do. I'm not trying to be clever. I'm just clever and excruciating. Here in the rough towns of England, we have a passive greeting that goes like, alright. Alright. And then there's the more American, what's up? It's a metaphorical up, like things that are up are your things that are unresolved. What's up? But it's often a passerby interaction, and if you start describing how unalright you are or what's unresolved, they're already 20 meters past you, and they just think you're muttering to yourself and rehearsing the nod and smile bit to assess whether you did it convincingly enough. And communication whilst moving is weird, because you're kind of already in alert mode. A higher anxiety, not really calm enough to communicate. That's what's up. I'm being serious, by the way, I just happen to be ridiculous. These greeting versions have arguably evolved into non-questions, like a synonym of hello. But there's still that response space left for you to fill somehow. I've never figured out a natural way to respond to these communications. I think academically, if you say exactly what they said, you'll probably be okay, but that's not in my instincts. Maybe it's only awkward if you go second. Maybe the challenge is to baffle them before they can baffle you. It's like a hegemonic game of pleasantries, like handshakes. I never remember to go first unless I'm genuinely interested in how someone is. And that takes microseconds of micro thought that just can't compare with reflex inquiries. I don't mean to take things too literally, I just evidently do that naturally. It's a communication delivered so quickly, it's like a quick-fire trivia round, to which my reaction will be to answer honestly and maybe reciprocate the question, but life doesn't have time for it. And the way this functions as a pleasantry isn't naturally part of me. I don't have much pleasantry. Other languages often have their main greeting, their actual synonym for hello, being something about the day being good. I don't know if those languages will survive 2020. In general, these things are called phatic expressions. Or you've been waiting for me to say it, small talk. I've studied this deeply on one Wikipedia article, and it's more of a ritual about acknowledging another person's presence. And it says how you need to pragmatically infer stuff. Yeah, that's beyond me. I understand language as conveying information. I'm not trying to be stubborn, that's just instinctively how it functions for me. Apparently, phatic expressions can signal willingness to observe conventional local expectations for politeness. So you see why I struggle. If there's a context in which I'm, sticking steadfast to the rules of language, it's not actually admirable because I'm missing a whole layer of the function of language, one that I cannot instinctively access. Not that stubborn prescriptivism would have been admirable anyway. And phatics aren't anywhere near new. I'm not sticking to some base English that ever existed. I'm just functioning within my actual nature about how communication works. My communicational instinct has no space for the fatuous. My YouTube channel, meanwhile, I know that expressing this does nothing to make me seem bearable. It's simply, honestly, how I process information. Instinctively, I'm gonna react as if you actually meant it. Sorry. My incompetence at this kind of communication doesn't mean that others should change how they do their weird little traditions. I just dislike it encouraging dishonesty and the suppression of our feelings and experiences right at the start of the conversation. And I wish people would be a bit less taken aback by me reacting as if they meant to communicate sincerely. This XKCD almost gets me, but here's my version.
How are you?